bold predictions for the Titans in 2024. That is the topic for today's Music City Audible podcast, so let's get into it. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Music City Audible podcast presented by Broadway Sports Media in partnership with 440 Sports. I'm Justin Graver. With me, as always, Justin Melo. And Justin, today we are giving out our bold predictions for the 2024 Titans season. And I'll just full disclosure this for everyone out there. Almost all of these are extremely positive, maybe too positive. And you know what? That's the nature of making a bold prediction, is like, this guy's going to be better than you think, is sort of what we're going to do. Now, not everyone, not all of our bold predictions are positive. I know you have at least one that's bad. But we're going to get into this today. So, Justin, training camp underway. Me, Switzerland, our regular podcast audience knows all this already. If you don't know all this, it's because you didn't listen to Busting the Myths last episode. So go back in your feed, find that one, and listen to it first. And
you still in Switzerland as of the release of this pod? Is that the only country you're going to? No.
Yes, so we're going to Switzerland. So I'll just tell everybody. My girlfriend that I've been dating for 2.5 years is from Switzerland, born and raised in Switzerland. I've never met her parents. So been together 2.5 years. I'm getting ready to she doesn't listen.
Do they live there?
They live there. She grew up there. She moved to LA to go to college, and she just stayed in LA when she graduated. And that's how we met. We met working at a job together a few years ago. And yeah, I've never met her parents. So she doesn't listen to this podcast, but I need to pop the question sooner than later, right? So she doesn't listen, so she won't hear this.
I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast because you just gave away.
Yeah, she won't. I promise she doesn't care about this at all. She doesn't care about football.
Wow. First bold prediction: Graver's future wife does not support his endeavors. First one, she does not.
No, she'll pull up the video and give it a thumbs up on YouTube, just like all of our audience should be doing. They should be subscribing to the Music City Audible. They should be giving this video a thumbs up, They should turn on channel alerts to get a notification every time we drop a new video. They should leave comments on the video.
Switzerland's crazy expensive, I've heard. I think you're in for. I mean, I had a buddy who had a layover there a couple years ago on his honeymoon. And I remember him texting me from the airport. He left the airport because they had an 8 or 9 hour layover. And he went into the city and he's like, holy shit, what is wrong with this? He was in the capital, I assume, but since it was a layover, I imagine it was a major city. But he was like, dude, we were looking for food and the cheapest thing I found was Burger King. And I think it cost me $30 US for one combo.
Well, I will say this. The fast food quality in Switzerland, apparently, again, I've never been there. I don't know, is really good. It's it's not shit food that you find in America.
Europe in general, I think you're going to find. I mean, it's the only place you're going to this year, but that's the case. I love Europe, and it's the food in general is just so much better. I was in Portugal. People might remember last year. I couldn't believe how friggin' cheap. And I'm Canadian, so it's switching my money over to euros kind of sucks because our dollar's not that good. It's a lot better if you're American and you're switching euros. It's almost even, I think, roughly. And it's you go there, and I was getting plates of shrimp for $4. I'm like, what the hell? In Canada, this is $25. You know what I mean? It's just so different. So food quality in Europe in general. That's going to be our next episode. Food quality in Europe is just so much better than it is anywhere else. It's wild, and it's so much more. I mean, the States is pretty cheap too, from my experience, from a fast food perspective. But it's really good in Europe too.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that this is what everyone wants to hear about in the middle of training camp. But the reason we're going,
where are you going? What city?
We're going to Lugano for the first week, which is where she grew up. It's where her parents' house is. And then for the second week, we're going up to a house in the Alps that her parents rented as a getaway. And we're going to hike up there and stuff. So anyway, I need to pop the question soon, right? But before I can pop the question, I need to meet her parents, right? And I need to ask her dad for permission to marry his daughter and all that fun stuff.
Do they speak English?
They speak okay English, but check this out. I've been learning how to say, I want to marry your daughter with your permission, which is the direct translation from English to Italian, but it's more common to say it like that in Italian.
So do they speak Italian? Is Italian their first language?
So Switzerland is we're getting deep in the weeds here.
Right? I know it borders Italy.
Switzerland is an interesting country because they don't have one language. So the southern part of Switzerland, which is close to Italy, speaks Italian. The northern part, which is close to Germany, speaks German. The eastern part, whichever side is close to France, speaks French, and then they have a fourth language that's sort of a mix of all four languages that is native to Switzerland. So my girlfriend speaks German, French, Italian, and English, and she grew up learning all those languages. So her parents speak a little bit of English, but they mostly speak Italian. Well, her mom actually grew up in the German side, so she speaks German, but now she lives in the South, so she speaks Italian too. So they all speak Italian.
What language are you asking the father in?
In Italian, voglio sposare tua figlia. Wait. with your permission. Whatever. That's how you say it, and I'm practicing more and more. I haven't left yet, obviously.
I hope you end up saying. I hope you don't. I hope you're wording it like it doesn't ask. Like I'm gonna marry your daughter. I just hope it. I hope
the
it like comes out
translation. The technical translation is I want to marry your daughter with your permission, which is basically.
It's funny. Like you say that. And it was so recognizable to me because my girlfriend's Italian, my partner's Italian, and I grew like Toronto. If you're Canadian, I mean, we have a couple Canadian listeners. You know how large of an Italian population is here in Toronto. So I've heard it my entire life. I don't speak. I am fluent in Portuguese, and they're like you just said, filia.
Filia, daughter.
Yeah, in Portuguese it's fila, like to a filia. So it's like. It's pretty much exactly this. There are a lot of words I'll come across that are the same. So you say that in Italian, and it's totally normal to me. And I imagine it's been fairly difficult for you, though.
Con il tuo permesso. That's with your permission. Actually, I speak a fair amount of Spanish, more than any common like white guy like me should speak. So there's a lot of similarities between Italian and Spanish. So some words are like con, which is with. Sure.
And then you could swim from Portugal to Spain. So there are shared similarities there. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, if you're still watching.
What's the topic of this conversation? That's right. Bold predictions. We are doing bold predictions. Let's dive into it. I did the subscribe to the channel. I did not thank our sponsors, Sinkers Beverages in East Nashville, Bluegrass Beverages in Hendersonville. More to come on Sinkers and Bluegrass in a bit. So yeah, let's dive into our bold predictions. Justin, why don't you just hit me with one? What's a bold prediction you have for the Titans?
This is an appropriate episode for a bold trip that you're currently on, asking for someone's hand in marriage. So
no, I'm not. Okay, yeah, that's true. I guess I am asking. I'm not asking her for her hand in marriage.
No, but you're asking him if you could have her hands. You know what?
Right.
What
I'm not proposing on this trip, to be clear.
No. I mean, that'd be. I people who do that, it blows me away. I would never travel with a ring. Like that's crazy. But anyway, my first bold prediction. Everyone's going to agree with. Will Levis throws 30+ touchdowns this year. That's not bold, Justin. Only 4 quarterbacks in the league did it last year. Do you realize that? It was not a very great year for offensive play, at least from an individual statistic perspective. Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, the only QBs that had 30. Would you have guessed before the year that it's not Josh Allen, it's not Patrick Mahomes? Joe Burrow got hurt, so that might not count. But the point is, only 4 of them. I think it qualifies as a bold prediction. We've talked this to death. I don't think we need to go into the whys. But we have a lot of confidence in this Brian Callahan offense. We have confidence in the supporting cast. If you watch the last episode, the myth busting episode, we gave you a lot of advanced stats and metrics on why we believe in Will Levis. I think he throws for 30 touchdowns this year. He's one of only 6 or 7 quarterbacks in the league that does it this season.
Wow. I mean, Josh Allen did run for 15 touchdowns last year in addition to throwing for 29, but he did not throw 30. You are right. So, yeah, I love that bold prediction. I'm going to one-up you with my bold prediction. Actually, I don't know if this is one-upping you. Maybe this is assumed if your prediction comes true. My prediction is that Will Levis will be the best quarterback in the AFC South this season.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with 4,000 passing yards. Well, no Titans passer's ever done it.
Correct. Right? I was thinking about doing that, but I don't even know if that's super bold. I mean, yes, no Titans quarterback has ever done it, so that would make it bold in that, just by that one simple fact. But the fact that Brian Callahan brings his, 60+% pass rate offense to this team with the additions of the wide receivers, I think he's going to easily, if he stays healthy, easily throw for 4,000 yards. But I think go ahead.
We did have 10 quarterbacks, by the way, do it last year, 4,000. So not quite as bold as my touchdowns one. I'm just pointing that out there. Not that this is a competition, but I'd like to make it one. Not quite as bold, but only 10 quarterbacks last year. Back to you.
Yeah, so Trevor Lawrence was one of those 10 quarterbacks.
He was.
CJ Stroud was one of those 10 quarterbacks. This is extremely bold now that I put this thought together more completely, but Will Levis will be recognized by the national media as the best quarterback in the AFC South in a division that includes CJ Stroud, who had maybe the best rookie quarterback season ever, Trevor Lawrence, who was maybe the best quarterback prospect, since Peyton Manning and whatever, and Anthony Richardson, who is like an absolute media darling despite not really earning any of the love that he has received. And don't get me wrong, I loved Anthony Richardson as a prospect too, but he's not a prospect anymore. He's an NFL player who did not last 5 games into the season. So let's cool it maybe on the Anthony Richardson hype. But I think Will Levis in this Brian Callahan offense with the weapons he has, with the rebuilt offensive line, which may not be an elite offensive line in the league, but with Bill Callahan coaching it and the talent they added, I have to think it's at least league average, which would be a huge improvement from where it was. So with all those pieces put together, plus the fact of what we said on the last myth-busting episode where I don't know if the Titans defense is going to be necessarily great. I could see the Titans getting in a lot of games where they have to sort of win a shootout, and they have to keep throwing the ball, and they have to keep being aggressive, throwing it down the field. And if Will Levis is able to lead a handful of game-winning drives in those situations, you know, the Titans don't have a lot of primetime games, but if he does it in a couple of those spots, and if he does it and the Titans are, you know, in the mix for playoff contention at the end of the year, and he throws for 4,000 yards and has 30 touchdowns and, you know, leads some game-winning drives, I think he will potentially be viewed as the best quarterback in the division.
I love it. I love it. I mean, it's a little bold for my liking because of CJ Stroud, and now he's got Stephon Diggs, and that team is so good on paper, to be honest with you. But I'm going to give you my next one. I'm going to move on from Will Levis. I'm going to move to the running game, where my bold prediction is that Tajay Spears outproduces Tony Pollard from a total yards perspective. So some context here. Again, we're in wait and see mode. 1A, 1B, both of them are going to be involved. But you'd be crazy to think Spears is going to run away with this number one running back job. I mean, they gave Tony Pollard $7 million a year in free agency. That's a lot of money from running back terms. He's going to be heavily involved. That's why I think this qualifies as a bold prediction. Tajay Spears last year, 100 carries, 453 yards, 2 touchdowns. Reason I feel comfortable making this prediction, a team high 4.5 yards per carry. That was higher than Henry's 4.2 yards per carry. Yeah. And then the real reason I feel comfortable with this prediction is the passing game production. You know, he has 52 catches for 385 yards to his totals, meaning he averaged 5.5 yards per touch. That's a really good mark. And again, Pollard, a better pass catcher than Henry is. So some of that passing game work might be a bit more split than it was down the middle than it was last year. But I still think Spears is the more efficient back. I think he'll outproduce Pollard from a total yards perspective because he'll be the better pass catcher. I also think he'll average more yards per carry than him, like he did versus Henry last year.
Okay. You know what? I can get behind this. I don't know if it's super bold based on Pollard's age and injury history and what he looked like last year, but we do expect, I mean, he got a big contract. You would expect that he probably is the RB1 by technical definition by the time the season starts, but again, we'll see. I definitely think that they're both, you know, interchangeable early down and third down back wise, so we'll see, but I like it. I like where your head's at, and I think that is definitely something I could see happening. I got one for you here. Peter Skoronski is an all-pro this season.
Wow.
All-pro year for the Titans left guard.
I love it. You want me to cut in?
Yeah, cut in. That's all I got.
I mean, look.
I didn't thought it through.
We know what it was like
saying that,
last year, right? Like, really good first game against New Orleans. It's only one game, but then he's got the appendectomy, loses a ton of play strength and actual weight, comes back, struggles, doesn't quite look like himself. By the way, though, I think not mentioned enough, and I don't know if it's a coincidence or not. I'd like to think it's not. Might have played his best game of the season in Week 18.
I think he did.
Against Jacksonville. I don't think that's coincidence. I think that's the sign of a guy that's had time finally to recover and put some of the weight and play strength back on. Look, we've probably talked about it a lot. We'll talk about everything a lot. But, second year, he looks big. If you saw him in OTAs, he looks great. If you've seen him in training camp already, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. He looks good, right? Like he looks like he's in excellent shape. No doubt that body mass has been put back on. He's got a legendary O-line coach, Bill Callahan, coaching him. He's playing next to hopefully, I mean, unless there's no way J.C. Latham's not better than Andre Dillard and Jalen Duncan and everyone else that played tackle last year. So he's got a better left tackle next to him than he had all of last year. I can, all those facts I just spit out. I'm with you on this one. I mean, all pro, it's obviously lofty, but I think he's going to be in that conversation, man. I think this guy's going to take such a huge step forward this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I think that, I think J.C. Latham's going to have a very good rookie season as well. I have another bold prediction on J.C. Latham. Maybe I should just give it so that they're paired together. I think J.C. Latham will make the all-rookie team.
Ooh.
So as like a maybe first or second team all-rookie tackle, and Peter Skoronski all-pro. And I think if that happens in the Titans, again, this is all we're kind of these are all grouped together in a way because these are what we think is going to happen this season. But Will Levis being good, Will Levis throwing for the amount of yards and touchdowns and being the best quarterback in the division, his offensive line's got to play well for that to happen, right? So I think if the Titans take a big step forward, and a lot of people credit the offensive line for why Will Levis looks better and everything, then narrative-wise, these guys could get some of that pub to make J.C. Latham an all-rookie.
That is a bold one too, because if you think about it, look what he's up against. This was a good tackle class, right?
Yeah.
You had Joe Alt go number 5 overall. I think all rookie teams, they don't care about left tackle, right tackle. Alt's going to be playing right tackle, but the point is he's going to have an opportunity to start day one on an offense that's driven by Justin Herbert. So there's a good chance, if he plays well, he's going to get a lot of attention and accolades. You've got, Olu Fashanu. He goes to the Jets. We don't know how much he's going to play. They've got some other guys there starting. Jordan Morgan was a first-round pick to the Packers. He might get a chance to start. He might be a guard, though, so we'll see. But the point is, a lot of tackles drafted early and often. The Chiefs took the BYU kid, Kingsley Suamatia, however you pronounce it. He might start early on as well. So a lot of tackles going to be vying for that all-rookie spot. There's going to be a fourth-rounder we're not projecting right now that's going to start and play really well at some point. So a lot of competition for that all-pro spot. For that all-rookie team spot.
Right. So, all right. That I just gave 2. So why don't you give us one now, or maybe give us 2 if you have 2.
I don't know if this is bold. I'll group these two because they're both kind of still on offense, passing games specific. But I think Calvin Ridley's the number 1 receiver this year for the Titans. I think he leads the team in receiving yards, certainly. Maybe not receptions. You talked about a few episodes ago. DeAndre Hopkins still might be like the chain mover underneath, so that's going to maybe lead to a lot of targets. I think Calvin Ridley, he's the youngest of the 3 receivers that are the top 3 in the rotation, and I do think he's the best at this point in his career. I think he's the shiftiest. I think he's the one that separates from man coverage the quickest and the easiest. That leads me to Doc Connect and say he's going to be the number 1 receiver, have the most receiving yards this year. The other one that I'll throw out there, we've been bubbling for a while, so I'll not spend a lot of time on it. Josh Whyle, tight end 1. I've talked about why his size just makes him a better fit for the Brian Callahan offense, especially if it's going to function with 1 tight end on the field only most of the time. Him being 6'6", 250 compared to Chig being 6'2", 245 just makes him a better and a more diverse fit for the offense as a guy that can both catch the ball and block in the run game. Again, maybe not super bold, those two, but Ridley's your number 1 receiver this year. Wiley's your number 1 tight end.
I like it. I'm on board with both of those. I think Ridley has a chance to lead in targets, receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. I think it's more likely he just leads in probably receiving yards and touchdowns. Whereas, like you mentioned, the DeAndre Hopkins chain moving side, but I'm with you on that. And Josh Whyle, maybe we're sort of like building up this image of what Josh Whyle could be in our heads a little more than we should be, and forgetting what Chigakonkwo did, especially as in his rookie season when he was really good. But I'm on board. I kind of want to see it this way. I want to see the monster 6'6" target get some action over the middle of the field and in the red zone. So I'm on board for both of these predictions. I'll throw one at you that is extremely, extremely bold and hyper-specific. And this is one of those dart throws where if I'm wrong, everyone's going to forget that I ever said it. But if I'm right, then you and I can sort of parade the clip around on social media and be like, look how smart this podcast is, because we predicted this back in July. My bold prediction, Titans trade for Joe Tryon Shoyinka before the trade deadline.
That's such a random bold prediction. Why?
Tampa Bay declined Tryon Shoyinka's 5th-year option before back when. So this year is a contract year for him. They drafted Chris Braswell in the 2nd round.
Good point.
They have the Titans have a need potentially for a pass rusher, especially an early down, run-stuffing edge rusher like Tryon Shoyinka, who's got a lot of strength and size and power, something that Arden Keene doesn't necessarily have, and something that even Harold Landry, for all of his strengths, doesn't necessarily have the kind of power that Tryon Shoyinka has. So Titans have a need there. Bucks have a guy on an expiring contract whose role may be reduced as the 2nd-round pick Chris Braswell comes along throughout the season. If the Bucks aren't hyper-competitive for the division, if Kirk Cousins and the Falcons are running away with it and the Saints are close and the Panthers get a lot better and the Bucks kind of drop off a little bit, I could see them willing to sell assets. Titans have been shown to make moves like this, sort of. Rand Carthon has made trades for players and, going out and getting L'Jarius Sneed. They've been aggressive is my point. And if the Titans are good around the trade deadline, but their defense could use another guy, then maybe they see this as a year to potentially make a move like this. So it's we can draft one in the 2nd or 3rd or 4th round next year, or we can use that pick right now to go get Tryon Shoyinka, work out a contract extension. All that to be said. And then Rand Carthon, grew up in the San Francisco tree, and San Francisco has been trading for guys left and right ever since that regime took over with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Getting a guy like Christian McCaffrey midseason and whatever else we've seen.
Chase Young.
Yeah, Chase. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, maybe again hyper specific. Maybe it's a different edge rusher. Maybe it's T. Higgins. Probably not with Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins. But I think that they would. I think they still need an edge rusher, and maybe they've signed somebody by this point, and we can't talk about it because I'm on vacation, and we'll catch up on that when I get back. But I think they still need like a real legitimate threat on the edge who's somebody that can play every down better than Arden Key. Why not go get a guy who's on an expiring contract?
That's a super bold, hyper-specific one, as you said. I mean, they need an edge rusher. There's no doubt about it. They're in the mix. I get it. I do think the Bucs, they need a lot of pass rushers, the way Todd Bowles runs them, and they rotate a lot. I don't think they'll be out of the NFC South mix just because I don't like that division, but they're not a great team. So it's not totally outside the realm of possibility that they could be on the outside looking in. And if so, that's a guy they're probably going to try to look to get an asset for. So I get it. I'm going to throw two bold predictions at you on the offensive line. One positive one negative one. First negative one, I think, of the show. We got to have at least one. The positive one is that Sadiq Charles establishes himself as a starting right guard and has a career best season. This is a guy that was handpicked by Bill Callahan to come here and play this role. He'll be playing next to his college teammate in Lloyd Cushenberry at center. He'll be playing on a better offensive line than he did last year in Washington. I think when everyone is struggling, everyone struggles. It impacts everyone's performance. That wasn't a good O-line. I think he had some negative effects from that. Better O-line, great O-line coach, his ex-college teammate. He's on a 1-year, $1.5 million contract. Like, this is such a great opportunity to get maximum value from that position. I think he has a career best year, has a good year at right guard, and maybe even gets a contract extension from the Titans in the offseason. I will say our pal, Will Levis, who I'm now supervising over at Titan Size, as you know, I got to give him credit when it's due. I got to be honest. He wrote a really interesting article recently for the site on how the Titans are sort of exploiting the market on the right side for now. Like, you look at the way contracts have been thrown at interior offensive line this year, period. Like, Quinn Miners just got a $20 million a year extension from the Broncos. Yeah. Robert Hunt got $20 million a year in free agency from the Panthers. I think the Rams gave Jonah Jackson, 3 years, $52 million in free agency. Look at what the Titans are doing on the right side this year. They got Sadiq Charles on 1 year, $1.5 million, and they've got Petit Friere on a rookie contract. So, compare that to the rest of the league. The reason I thought that article was so interesting is if it doesn't work out, look at the type of resources they'll have to spend to fix it. Yeah. Right? It's what everyone else is throwing at right guards. And Mike Onwenu got a massive contract from the Patriots. You see where this is going, right? And even on the left side, heck, they've got a rookie left tackle and a left guard on the second. This is a cheap offensive line right now. Even Lloyd Cushenberry, we thought that contract was crazy. When you look at these interior guys getting $20 million a year, Cushenberry getting 12 and a half looks a lot better. I know it's a lot for a center, but an interior guy still at the end of the day. So that was a really interesting article, and it kind of brings me to that Sadiq Charles point. It also brings me to my next point. The one negative one I got for you, I am not a Nicholas Petit-Friere guy. I think you know this. Our listeners know this. I'm just not. I don't think he comes in and establishes himself as the solution at right tackle. I really got to see it to believe it. Last year was a full-blown disaster, both on and off the field. He had the shoulder injury. He was rehabbing throughout spring workouts still. I think his rookie season is often blown out of proportion. I don't think it was very good. It was maybe okay at best. I'm in firmly see it to believe it. I think the Titans enter next offseason needing a solution at right tackle.
I can see that playing out. It's not ideal. We'll see if that does come to fruition. Does he start all 17 games? Do they rotate? Do they try other options? Does Jalen Duncan get a shot? Does Dylan Radins get a shot? Does anyone else that exists, John Ojukwu, get a shot? So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I like both of those predictions. I think they're there's some things that are a little hypocritical, or not hypocritical, but counteract each other. Like, it's a better offensive line around him, a great offensive line coach. That helps Sadiq Charles, but it doesn't help.
It can still be a good O-line if they've got one problem.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? It's, teams are known. No one's perfect across all five. And if everything else is going well, you give them help on the right side. You chip, things of that nature. It could still be effective. But I get what you're saying. That's fair to come at me for that.
But yeah, no, but I'm with you on both fronts anyway. So I'll just move on here and give my last bold prediction here, which is that, and maybe this is, again, the Texas bias. I let it show almost every episode, I think. But Hook 'em Horns, T'Vondre Sweat absolutely balls out this year, crushes all expectations. I'm talking like 4 or 5 sacks, a bunch of run stuffs, plays all 3 downs by the middle of the season. He's in good shape, and he just looks like a guy that was totally worthy of the 38th overall pick. That's my prediction for T'Vondre Sweat.
I'll tell you why I like it, because boy, what a development that would be for the Titans, right? Like, I mean, he's so divisive right now when you bring up his name in this fan base. But yeah, there's a reason they took him. Brian Callahan talked about as an offensive coordinator, and this is the point I always think of because it was a really good media interview he gave, talking about how as an offensive coordinator, I feel good planning or preparing my quarterback for pressure coming off the edge. There are things you can do. This is why they took T'Vondre Sweat. As an offensive coordinator, there's nothing I can do about pressure up the middle, right in my quarterback's face. That's what they want him to provide. He should provide it next to Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, what a duo they could be if all goes well. And for T'Vondre Sweat, talk about taking the pressure off to a degree, playing next to a guy like Jeffrey Simmons, that's going to command so much attention. Like we said, when we've offered positive spins, you can only double team one of them, and you're probably choosing Jeffrey Simmons, obviously. So guess what? Now you've got a 350-pound T'Vondre Sweat with a one-on-one block. You like his chances just based on sheer strength, size, and power alone. So look, if he gets in, if the conditioning isn't a problem and injuries aren't a problem, because those are two things that we had questions about throughout the spring. If those aren't problems, then I'm on board with that. And God, again, what a development that would be for Denard Wilson. Because if it's not him, it's going to be someone I don't like Sebastian Joseph Day or a Keandre Coburn, who's got limited upside. I get it. What a development that would be for this defense. I'm on board with it. I hope that comes to fruition.
Yeah, I think it totally can. We'll see. Why don't you hit us with your last bold prediction here, and then we'll get out of here.
Yes, I've got my final one, and I'm really excited about it. Roger McCreary establishes himself as an elite nickel cornerback this year, okay? I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but in year one, okay, he only played like 300 and something odd snaps at nickel. I know that to be a fact. It was in 300s because he had to move outside so much due to injury, yada, yada. Year two, similar. He played 500 and something snaps at the nickel, over 1,000 total snaps. So again, indication that he was splitting reps. We had Sean Murphy, Bunting hurt, Christian Fulton hurt, as you always know, and inconsistent. This year, you'd like to think he will get to focus on the nickel position, which is his most natural position, more than ever before. Injury notwithstanding, you feel obviously a lot better about the boundary corners this year than you ever have throughout Roger McCreary's short career. L'Jarius Sneed, Cheeto Awuzie on the other side. This is going to give him opportunity to focus on nickel, hopefully on a more full-time basis, and he is going to thrive in that spot. He is so damn good playing it. I'll top off this bold prediction with, if it comes to fruition, he gets a contract extension from Rand Carthon next offseason, because remember, he's a second-round pick. There's no fifth-year option. He'll have completed 3 years, means he'll be scheduled for a fourth and final year. He'll be eligible for extension. I think he gets one next summer from Rand Carthon.
I love it. I love that take. I think it's true. We've been seeing this from some other Titans people around social media lately, talking about how good Roger McCreary is. Tic Tac Titans just did a film breakdown looking at how good Roger McCreary is. So I think, we're all on the same page with this one. I don't think it's that bold. I'll call you out a little bit. But yeah, I think it's definitely, this one feels the most out of everything we've said.
I said elite, an elite nickel. Okay. I think that's, I don't know.
Sure.
I don't think anyone right now is calling him an elite nickel outside of a biased Titans fan here or there, but no one in the league thinks he's an elite nickel.
All right. That's fair. I'll give you that.
I'm talking like Mike Hilton, Kenny Moore, best ones in the NFL.
Yeah. No, totally. I could totally see that. All right. Before we get out of here, Justin, I'm going to make you do one more bold prediction that you weren't prepared for. How many games will Jamal Adams play? Predict.
Wow. Well, you're on vacation. This episode's coming out a week after we recorded it. Did they sign Quandre Diggs or Justin Simmons? That would help. God, that's so hard, because if they rotate him like they should, or he plays a sub-package role, you'd like to think that keeps him healthier than he's been. but I'm not prepared to throw out a number. Are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna say he plays 15 games or more.
Wow.
At least 15. He
15?
resurgences himself. More games than he's played in the
When was
last
the
2
last time he
years
played
combined.
15?
Probably 2018, 2019,
20,
something like that.
No, it's got to be 2019. He made the
2019?
Pro Bowl in 2020, so...
You just put me on the spot like this, like I'm just going to be able to answer this.
Well,
the
you
last
put me on
time
the
he
spot first. I
played
wasn't-
15 games was 2018 when he played 16, when there was only 16 games. In 2019,
Yeah.
he played 14. 2020 and 21, he played 12. 2022, he played 1. 2023, he played 9. So,
9, right?
yeah.
15, that is bold. But hey, Paul Kolarski had that great article about a week ago on they could use him as a safety. They could use him as a dime backer, as a blitzer, sub package, big nickel. Like, if they're using him situationally, then yeah, you'd like to think he's going to be healthier and he can play 12 plus games. But
Yeah.
I'm not bold enough to say 15. That means he only misses 2 the whole year. It's been a minute since he's done that, so I'm in wait and see mode.
Yeah, that's the reunion with Denard Wilson. It like gives him extra fuel to stay healthy or something. I don't know. The Titans have a new training staff or who? I don't know.
They do.
Throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks, man. That's what bold predictions are for. All right, that'll do it for our bold predictions episode. Thanks again to Sinkers Beverages. Sinkers Beverages is the premier wine, spirits, and beer store in East Nashville, serving the community since 1985. Their knowledgeable staff is proud to help you with large parties, themed events, or finding something unique for a special occasion. From birthday parties to milestone celebrations to everyday moments, Sinkers can help with the right drink for every occasion. And if you head to sinkersbeverages.com or check out the link in this podcast description, you can join the In Crowd. In-crowd members get access to allocated wines and spirits, exclusive events, early access to barrel releases, and more. Plus, Sinkers is on Uber Eats, the most convenient way to have any booze you want delivered right to your door. All right, that's it. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, Music City Audible Podcast. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and turn on alerts so you get a channel notification every time we drop a new video. And leave a comment. What are your bold predictions for the Titans this season? Let us know in the comments below. Let us know if I should propose in Switzerland or wait till I get back. Let us know where your favorite vacation destination spots are, whether it's the mountains or the beach. Let us know what we're missing with training camp going on while I'm gone. And like we said on the last episode, when I get back, we'll be on to do a big catch-up episode, everything that is going on at training camp. So until we got one more episode coming out while I'm gone later this week. What are we talking about? We're gonna do position tiers. That's right. We're gonna do position tier. We're gonna group.
Give someone that one some thought.
Yeah, we're gonna group the Titans position groups into tiers. Which position groups are elite? Which position groups are bottom of the barrel? We're gonna go through it. That's the next pod coming to you later this week. So until then, you all stay safe out there and tighten up.
A Broadway sports media production.